roads, we would like to acknowledge that we live and work in the traditional land of the Esquimalt and the Songhees ancestors and families. It is with gratitude that we now live, work here, where the past, present, and future of Indigenous and non-Indigenous students, faculty, and staff come together. So I highly recommend, if you want to acknowledge where the land that you are joining us today as well, please do. And so today we have a very exciting webinar where we are going to talk about our undergrad programs in the School of Environment and Sustainability. And I have two people joining us today with me, Dr. Nikki and Dr. Chris Link. So maybe I will pass over to you, and if you would like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, look, you're listed first, Mickey. Do you want to go first?
Oh, sure, why not? Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Nikki Noble. I've been the program head for the BSEP Environmental Science program for probably 6 or 8 years at this point. Yeah, it's nice to see everybody here today.
Yeah, and hello from me also. I'm, as Andrea says, I'm Chris Ling. I'm the program head for the Bachelor's in Environmental Practice. So that's either a BSc or a BA. And we'll I'll look forward to telling you a little bit more about the programs as we go through the webinar.
Thank you, Nikki and Chris. And my name is Andrea Torres, and I work in the student recruitment team, and I'm going to be facilitating this session today. There's 2 more people in our chat box that are going to help us to navigate. If you have any technical challenges, please feel free to connect with Mark. And we also have Rhonda White. She's one of our enrollment advisors, and she's going to be providing some links and some additional information. If you're planning maybe to apply into a program, Rhonda White will be the best person to connect, as she will be able to navigate any questions that you might have. So the agenda today is, first, we want to get to know each other. And I know some people have been posting on the chat, but I'm going to launch pool. And if people would like to share with us, maybe which program are you interested? Are you interested into our BSc on campus, our BSc blended? Are you looking into our BA in EAP or in our BSc? Or maybe if you're unsure, if you are able to see the pool right now, feel free to click in any of the options. And I'm just going to let the pool there for a few minutes. And after that, I'm going to talk.
I'm not sure we can see it, Andrea. Doesn't seem to have.
What about
there we
now?
go. That's got it.
That is perfect. Thank you so much for letting me know, Chris. So I'm going to give you a few seconds as I see some people are clicking around. After we look into the pool, I'm going to talk really briefly about Royal Roads University. And after that, Nikki and Chris are going to talk about the difference between the 2 programs. I should say the difference between the 3 programs, our different delivery models, and who are the people that are taking these programs. At the end, I'm going to talk about the application process. And if you have any questions, please feel free to type those questions in our chat box, and we will be covering them through this session. So I'm going to leave this pool a few more seconds before I close it. So if you are wanting to participate in this, you have a few more seconds left. Okay, I'm closing in 3, 2, 1, closing the pool. And I'm going to share the results now. Can you see the results? Maybe if I can thumbs up, if people can see it. I can see Chris and Nikki. So we have 14% of the people interested in our BSc ES program on campus. 29% of the people are interested in the BEA EP. 14% of the people are looking into the BSc in EP, and 43% of the people are not sure. So we are hoping that at the end of this session, you have a better understanding, maybe which program it will be the best fit for you. So at Royal Roads University, we do things slightly different, and we value who make us different. So one of those things are first name first. At Royal Roads, you will find that people are very curious about who you are, why you are in the program, and more than anything, how we can support you to be successful, why you are taking this program, and how this program is going to help you to move in your future, in your personal and professional life. So it will be very common for people to know who you are, know you by your name. So if you're one of those persons that maybe like to hide in the back end of your classroom, you might have some issues because after a few days that you are in the program, faculty will know you by your first name. Our real world classroom. During the program, you are going to be working in real programs, and you are going to use the theory to be able to understand how to solve those problems. It's very common for us to work closely with what is happening in our cities, in our communities, and how we can support and fix some or provide some of those solutions for the challenges that we are having as a community. Learn Together Forever talks more about how we learn at Royal Roads. Most of our programs are designed in a cohort model, and how that looks like is that you're going to be working most of the time with the same group of people. In addition to that, you are going to be working in a lot of teams, and that team environment is going to help you to understand maybe how you communicate, how others communicate, and how you can learn to work with others. It will give you an opportunity to lead, but also to learn how to follow others, depending on who is doing, how the project is evolving. And the last thing that I want to mention is that life is also an education, and that speaks about our flexible admissions that I'm going to explain a little bit more how that looks like. But basically at Royal Roads, we understand that everybody has a different path, and we want to make sure that everybody can come to our programs and are able to move to the next chapter of their lives. Royal Roads is a change-maker campus. How that looks like is that we are a university that innovates in our approach of how education looks like, and prepares students to address world problems, encourage others to work together. So all our programs have that change maker approach. At Royal Roads, we have 3 delivery models: blended, on campus, and online. COVID has changed the way that we do things almost for the last 2 years. Our traditional blended model that looks like that people will come to campus for 1 or 2 weeks, depending on the program, and then they will go fully online. And in the second year, you might do that residency on campus again. However, during the COVID period of time that we're still working through, during the blended model, you are going to be working in that intense period of time during 1 week or 2 weeks, depending on the program, and then it will be less work intense outside of that residency component. Our on-campus programs, they normally are fully on campus. We're happy to early September to welcome students again at the university, but I will let Nikki to talk more about how that on campus is looking like and how it will look like in the future. And online is basically you are doing your program fully online. And we're very proud at Royal Roads University that we have been doing this online learning for the last 25 years. And that takes me to the power of place. So for some of you, if you are not familiar, Victoria is located in Vancouver Island. We're really close to Vancouver and Seattle as well. Some of the top industries is advanced technology, tourism and hospitality, and education. And we have a really nice weather in Victoria. During the winter, we have around 6 degrees, and then during summer, it goes up to 25. Last year, well, this year was a little bit an exception. During the summer, we have the heat went a little bit higher, but Victoria has one of the mild climates in Canada. And here we have a few of the pictures of our beautiful campus. We have the Halley Castle, Japanese Garden, Esquimalt Lagoon. If you are lucky to be on campus through your program, I highly encourage to take that time to explore, take the time maybe to do some of your assignments outside and enjoy the beautiful areas that we have. But as I said, I know COVID has changed the way that we connect and work with people. And we are very happy that we quickly were able to adapt and create that sense of community in our online learning platform. And our faculty encourage people to keep connecting and keep supporting each other. So with that, I would like to pass over to Chris and Nikki.
Okay, hi everybody. So I think this next bit, okay, so I'll talk a little bit about just a few highlights of the environmental science program, and then Chris will give you a few highlights for the environmental practice program.
And
So
this is quite a handy table for explaining the differences between them as well, which
yes,
might not be clear exactly from the information you've seen so far.
Exactly. Okay, so for the environmental science program, you'll notice we've got delivery model on campus or blended. We were very pleased to be able to welcome our on-campus group back to campus this fall. And so we are working in lab work, field work, and in the classroom at this point in a face-to-face fashion, although everybody is wearing masks. We are hopeful that our blended group will be able to meet face-to-face for their 3-week residency on campus in May. But of course, as the COVID situation continues to evolve, we'll have to evaluate that a little bit closer to the time. So for our on-campus program, it's a 12-month program. You will do year 3 and year 4 in 12 calendar months. So starting in September and finishing at the end of August. Our blended program is a 24-month program. And so a little more geared to those who are, working or have family commitments that don't allow them to travel to Victoria for a full year. Bachelor of Science and Environmental Science program. Blended program starts in April and the on-campus program starts each September. Both programs will fulfill the requirements for the environmental professional designation that's available through Eco Canada. And really the programs feature a lot of lab and field component work. So if you've never had a lot of lab experience before, or that's something that you're interested in having those experiences, this is probably a better fit for you. However, the program does not allow you to tailor the program in terms of choosing electives, because everybody's going to choose the same courses in the same sequence. The major highlight for the on-campus group is the major project, which is a team-based 9-month consulting project that you will work on for a sponsor external to the department. And this is a really great way to get some work experience, particularly if you are coming into the field for the first time and maybe you really don't have any environmental work experience yet. It's a nice way to show a potential employer down the road that you do know how to be involved in those sort of bigger open-ended projects. The blended program does not have an equivalent major project, but does include 2 more sort of business management oriented courses. So one on public policy formulation and one on business decision making that make up the same credits. Really, the distinction between the 2 programs is much more aligned along whether or not you're able to come to campus or not, either because you're working or you have family commitments that prevent you from traveling. But they really, both will give you a very versatile lab and field-based course of study that'll let you get a lot of those kinds of experiences in. Chris, we'll pass to you.
Yeah, thanks, Nikki. And just before I sort of go into my spiel, there's a question in the chat from T. Penton, who's asked which degree is more recognized employment-wise. And I would say they're both equally recognized employment-wise, but it very much depends on the employment that you're seeking. So if the job you're going for is requiring, as Nikki said, that's in the environmental science program, that significant laboratory and fieldwork experience, you're not going to be getting that in the environmental practice program, almost certainly, because the focus for that is the online learning. And so that laboratory and fieldwork experience is less possible. They both, as it says in this table, they both fulfill the academic requirements for the environmental professional and training certification through Eco Canada. And Eco Canada works very closely with our school, particularly in the environmental practice program, and has actually helped us to kind of craft the curriculum so it meets the requirements for environmental employers. The core part of the environmental practice program, which is aligned with some of the core parts of the environmental science program as well, is very much focused on the transferable skills and the knowledge domains that Eco Canada has surveyed environmental employers for, and has established quite clearly that those are the skills that those employers are looking for. So, in terms of the environmental employer sector in general, they're both equally respected, and our students have gone on to have some very interesting careers. But obviously the detail is important depending on the job you're going for. So hopefully that answers your question. But to really sort of emphasize the differences between the two, if you're making that decision as to whether the environmental science or the environmental practice program is for you, the main difference is one of breadth versus depth, I would say, perhaps, although both are very broad curricula. And the environmental practice program is extremely flexible. There's a huge range of courses that you're able to take. The structure of the program is split into what we call a Block A and a Block B. The Block A is common for both Bachelor of Science and Bachelor of Arts students in the environmental practice program, and that takes place on campus. Not on campus. It takes place using exclusively Royal Roads courses. They're all online. Everything in the environmental practice program is online. And then you do a Block B, which is can be all Royal Roads courses, can be a mixture of Royal Roads courses and courses from other institutions. It can be exclusively courses from other institutions, and that's a very flexible, very broad-based approach to your environmental education. And that's for you to fill in the gaps that you feel you need to pursue the career you wish. Take courses that are of interest to you. That are applied that are relevant to the environmental practice field. And then at the end of your program, you do either a practicum or a research paper. There's less emphasis in the environmental practice program on teamwork, although in all your Royal Roads courses, teamwork will be a key component of that. But you don't have the major project that's part of the environmental science program for the on-campus students. But you do have to do either a work-based practicum or a research paper as a capstone for the environmental practice program. The differences between the BA and the BSc in the environmental practice are around the elective choice that you have. Obviously, if you're taking the Bachelor of Science, we'll insist that you do predominantly science-focused courses. If you're doing the Bachelor of Arts, we'll insist you predominantly do social science or humanities-based courses. You're allowed to have a certain, there is a certain opportunity to take one from the other stream, as it were, but that's really the differentiation between the BA and the BSc. In terms of structure, in terms of the duration that you'll take there, they are the same. And given that it is very much geared towards people who are working and people who are maybe they want a flexible degree because their time is maybe not quite as flexible. You can take anything from 2 years if you really focus on the degree, or you can take up to 7 if you're just taking a course every few months. There are requirements for staying registered in, you take a course every sort of term. But you don't have to take more than one, and you can go on leave if you can't even make that, as long as you take all your program requirements within those 7 years. I think that's probably enough for this slide. And yeah, if anybody has any questions, then we'll happily sort of cover those as we go along, so don't hold back.
So, sorry, Nikki, if I interrupt you. I know, Chris, you already spoke a little bit about what kind of, there was a question about the jobs, or what kind of jobs, or which one will be better. But can you give us an example? What kind of jobs people will get with the environmental practice versus the environmental science programs? Like what kind of work jobs our grads are doing, or what kind of work in the field they're doing?
Well, we have environmental practice graduates that are involved in all sorts of things, from working as sustainability officers in municipal governments or businesses, to working for environmental consultants, working for natural resource companies. What the job they get slightly depends on the courses they've taken and the background they have. You've got your first 2 years of education from somewhere else. I mean, that could be for the Bachelor of Environmental Practice program, could be in a lot of different fields. The BA students are more often going into policy or business-related type positions. The BSc are more often going into natural resource related industries, or more sort of, I mean, we don't have, because there's not a laboratory or field component in the BSc in environmental practice. If those jobs are available, that rather depends on what you have as your college diploma, and your previous employment experience, if you have any. But it's certainly a very broad range, and the types of jobs that are available to our students. If you go to the Eco Canada website, they have a really good analysis of the environmental job market and the up and coming areas, and our graduates are potentially aligned with almost all of those.
Similarly, the Bachelor of Science in Environmental Science program, it's really more a question of where do you want to go next. A lot of our students go into environmental consulting. Some of those jobs involve field and lab work, some of them don't. Many of them wind up in policy positions or as environmental officers for NGOs, industry, that kind of thing. I've got quite a few that have gone on to teach school with the environment as one of their major teaching areas. There have been a lot of environmental lawyers through the program. We have had lots of students go on to do master's degrees in various fields. So yeah, it really is more a question of what is it that you think you would like to do? But particularly if you're wanting to do anything that's got field or lab pieces to it, this is probably the direction that you want to go a little bit. But yeah, kind of where do you want to go next?
Thanks, Nikki and Chris. I'm wondering if you can share a little more with the students how a day of an on-campus student will look like versus a blended student versus a full-time online student will look like.
Okay, so typically for our on-campus students, their classes typically run 8:30 to 4:30 Monday to Friday. Labs are generally in the afternoon. You don't necessarily have the full course load every term, every day. But once your major project starts, you will have one day a week that is solely yours to schedule, because that's all about your major project, and you'll be running that and deciding what that's going to look like. Usually you go to class in the morning and the lab in the afternoon, because you're safer in the lab when you're actually awake. For blended students, when they are in their 3-week residency, they will definitely be in class from probably 8:30 to 5, because they'll have lab and field work and classroom components that will all be running. It's a very intensive 3 weeks. Once you go home, then things run a little more asynchronously. So you can do your schoolwork when it fits into your day. The courses are not self-paced, so you will be marching along with the rest of your team and the rest of your class. But it's up to you to decide, do I do my best homework, after my kids are in bed, or, a couple afternoons in a weekend. You should generally expect to spend about 30 hours a week on classwork. for each course, and you'll generally do one class at a time during those distance periods.
Yeah, and for a program that's entirely online, like the Bachelor's of Environmental Practice, then that last description that Mickey gave is the way it works. You know, if you take one class at a time, then you know the standard class length is a 3-credit class, and it's usually somewhere between 8 and 12 weeks in duration. So if you take a sort of average of that being 10 weeks, then a 3-credit course is going to be roughly a sort of, let me see if I can remember the exact time. Yes, it's roughly 30 hours. No, it's roughly 100 hours of student effort over 10 weeks on average. So that's 10 hours a week for a course, approximately. I mean, obviously some courses you'll find easier than others, and so you'll need to spend a little less time on. Some will be more intense at different points during that course. As Mickey said, they're not the Royal Roads courses, they're not self-paced. The program in the BEP program is self-paced, and you can take the courses when you wish, but they all run from a date to another date and have a schedule within them. You won't be expected to be face-to-face with an instructor at any specific time, although some do record lectures that you can watch live. So if you're taking one course, you're probably looking at, you know, dedicating 3 or 4 evenings a week to the course, or you're looking at the bulk of one of your days on the weekend, for example. You are allowed to, without special permission, you are allowed to take up to 3 courses at a time. You know, if you're working full time, you'll probably find that workload is too much for you, and so you'd be recommended not to do that. If you're not currently working, or you're working part-time, or you know, you're on some leave, then obviously taking 3 courses would be no problem at all, if you want to sort of do a quasi full-time study regime. In an online course for Royal Roads, then your time is going to be taken up by you know, looking at the readings. We use a platform called Moodle, and that contains functionality for forums and things like that, where you can do asynchronous chats with other students and the instructor. Some instructors will be putting up other resources such as videos and those kind of things for you to look at and discuss. So, you know, there's quite a range of activities that take place within the learning platform in an online course. Obviously, if you are taking as part of your BEP degree courses from other institutions, I can't speak to exactly what happens in those because that's a very different, you know, they'll have a different structure to how we look at it. And on that subject, actually, I noticed Courtney's asked a question sort of regarding the BAEP, the opportunities for coursework with other universities. Yes, so you've probably seen a list, and I have to say we've just switched the Royal Roads website, and the course lists for the BEP as they are currently published are extremely confusing. So I don't blame you if it's very unclear. We're working on it, but at the moment, you know, if you have any questions, you certainly should get in touch with our admissions advisors like Rhonda, who'll be able to help you through that. But yeah, you can take any course that's listed without special permission, or you can, if you find a course you really want to do, all you need to do at that point is to write to our program office and say, this is the course I'd like to do, this is why I do it, and then I or somebody else will review that to see if it's appropriate for the program and give you permission to take it. We're usually very flexible, so there's plenty of opportunities for that. Obviously, they have to be relevant to the degree for us to give permission, but you know, there are lots of courses out there, and we only list we only sort of have given advanced permission and list courses which we know are good fits and are online. So we do sometimes get people ask permission to take a course that isn't online. That's another institution because that's near where they live or something like that, and that's usually fine as well. So you don't have to be online for all your courses if you don't wish to. Although obviously the majority of people taking the BEP, that's what's attracting them to that program, and so that doesn't happen all that often. So I hope that answers your question, Courtney. And I noticed also T. Penton put up another follow-up question about talking about the Masters of Science in EP. I don't know if that fulfills the degree requirements for the Canadian Board of Registered Occupational Hygienists. You'd have to look at their guidance for that, I'm afraid.
So we have a slide here, what employers have to say about our students. So some of them about the excellent communication and technical skills and knowledge. Impressive, she had a great awareness of the issues, good research and analysis resulting in an appropriate outcomes. So this is some of the thoughts that some of the employers have to say about our students. Anything that you would like to add, Chris or Nikki here?
A lot of employers are really quite keen that our students understand the difference between being in a group versus being in a team. And because both the Bachelor of Science and the Bachelor of Environmental Practice are interdisciplinary programs, it gives you the opportunity to build those bridges between different disciplines so that you think about things from more than one angle. And that tends to be a really valuable skill as well when you leave.
Yeah, and as I've alluded to previously, we have constructed the environmental practice program based on research in the environmental employer sector from Eco Canada, and we strongly liaise with them. And part of the reason, I think, although this is a while ago now when I wasn't necessarily involved, but my understanding is part of the reason that the Eco Canada and Royal Roads have worked so well is because of the experience we've had with for example, the Bachelor of Science program in environmental sciences, of very much emphasizing these important transferable skills that employers almost seek more than the more technical aspects. You can teach people the technical knowledge, you can't necessarily give them experience and the understanding of some of those more employment-ready skills that we very much incorporated to our curriculum here at Royal Roads very deliberately.
Actually, that is a nice segue, Chris, for the next slide about Eco Canada. If you would like to share about the professional certifications.
Yeah, and this is something that sometimes causes a little bit of confusion because the Bachelor of Science in Environmental Science program is accredited by Eco Canada, and as such fulfills the requirements that they have to become an environmental professional in an academic requirements. The Bachelor of Environmental Practice program is actually co-designed by Eco Canada, so it's rather sort of obscurely not accredited in the same way because they don't see the need to accredit something that they've had a hand in designing, and that does sometimes cause a little bit of confusion. But both programs are equally recognized by Eco Canada as fulfilling their academic requirements. So that's maybe sort of a good opportunity to clarify that. I mean, obviously, straight out of the bat, if you've had no work experience, you're not going to be eligible yet for either program to be an environmental professional, as you do require work experience for that. Although for the BSc in Environmental Sciences, you do get credit on work experience because of the practical and applied nature, particularly of the major project component of that. And obviously, if you take the practicum route in the environmental practice program, that'll also contribute to your work experience as well. Typically, many of the students in the environmental practice program do have some work experience already, not not all by any means, but certainly quite a few do, and a lot are working while they're doing the program, which for the on-campus version of the Bachelor of Science program in Environmental Sciences is obviously not possible. You can't work and do the program at the same time, although that's what the blended one is able, it gives you the ability to do. Do you want to say more about that, Nikki?
Yeah, so just a couple of things. One is that you do qualify for the environmental professional in training level once you've graduated from the BSc Environmental Science program. I'd also like to point out that although Eco-Canada has the only national certification for environmental professionals, depending on what your first 2 years of your college diploma were, you may also be interested in applying for certifications like registered professional biologist, professional agrologist status, and those kinds of things. Because those sorts of certifications tend to be specific to the jurisdiction you're working in and don't, for instance, typically transfer province to province, we generally advise that you go to that particular organization's website. Many of those certifications have actually like worksheets and things that you can work through to figure out what pieces may be contributed by, for instance, your diploma program versus the BSc program as you go through.
Yeah, absolutely, and certainly in the EP programs we've had people who, are working towards or are seeking RP bio status and various different professional accreditations. We can't say for sure going through the BEP program whether you'll meet those requirements, simply because it very much depends on what you've got as your first 60 credits of undergraduate work that you'll have done elsewhere, and what electives you take while you do the environmental practice program. Obviously, if you want to become an RP bio, we would strongly encourage you take biological related electives.
Thank you, Chris and Nikki. I'm just curious to know if there's anything else that you would like to add before I jump into the application process and other housekeeping items. No? Perfect. And if thank you.
If there are any more questions, we'll happily answer them, but I think we've covered everything that's been posted up to. Okay. So it's the environmental practice degree, a 2-year. It is a the Bachelor of Environmental Practice program is predominantly a 3rd and 4th year completion program. So there is the expectation that you will have at least 60 credits of 1st and 2nd year undergraduate education, for example, a college diploma. And then you can complete the remainder of your degree, the 3rd and 4th year equivalent, in 2 to 7 years. It is possible at Royal Roads to incorporate the Bachelor of Environmental Practice program in a 4-year degree. There is a common, if this only applies for the BA stream, but Royal Roads has a 1st and 2nd year level program, which feeds into a number of the 3rd and 4th year degrees. I, to be honest, know very little about that 1st and 2nd year program. We have not as yet had, I think, anybody come through that into the BEP, but that is a pathway, and you're probably seeing that on the website. But the standard pathway for the environmental practice program and to the same degree the BSc ES program is that you have a 2 years of undergraduate education, and you bring that into Royal Roads in order to do the 3rd and 4th year as either the Bachelor of Environmental Practice or the Bachelor of Environmental Science. So I hope that answers that question.
Thank you, Chris and Nikki. So now I'm going to talk about how to apply. So I'm going to talk about 2 things through the application process. I'm going to talk about standard admissions and flexible admissions, and I'm going to explain each of the programs. So I'm going to start with the BSc ES program, and I'm going to start with the standard admissions. So for people that are looking into this program, as Chris mentioned, we are talking about 3rd and 4th years. So we are looking for a completion of one of our approval transfer agreements within a B, that is average on your GPA, or completion of a prerequisite courses with a minimum of B in each of those, or completion of an Arts of Science diploma or 60 credits, including a minimum of 24 second-year credits with a minimum of a GPA of a B from a recognized post-secondary institution. As Chris has said, we have a lot of transfer agreements in place with many colleges across Canada. So if you are maybe looking into how this will look like, I highly encourage you to connect with Rhonda or any of our enrollment advisors, and they can connect and work with you to see how that looks like. For standard admissions for the, now I'm going to talk about the BSEP program. So we're looking for a minimum of 60 credits in Arts of Science. 18 must be science credits, 9 of which must be in the second year level. This has to be from a recognized post-secondary institution, and we're looking at GPA of a B. We're also looking for the completion of the certificate in environmental practice program. 18 must be credits from the science programs, and 9 from the second year level at Royal Roads University. Sorry, Chris, do you want to share something?
Yeah, just to make it clear that that's not an and situation, that's an or situation.
Thank you.
You don't have to have you can no longer get the certificate of environmental practice. It doesn't exist anymore. But if you do have it, that is a pathway into the BEP program. Sorry, Andrea.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for clarifying that. So just to make sure, you have to complete either the first one or the second one, and it will be exactly the same for the BEP program. So you will have to do a minimum of 60 credits of a program in arts or science with a minimum of a GPA of a B from a recognized post-secondary institution. And as well as the BSc program, we have the option, if you are a graduate of the certificate in environmental practice, you will be able to apply to this program. Flexible admissions are people that normally don't have those 60 credits from a recognized post-secondary institution. However, they have significant work experience. So this might look slightly different for everyone. So if you are someone that might be considered to flexible admissions, I highly encourage you to connect with our enrollment advisors to understand a little bit better about your career path and your education, and see how you can apply to the programs. But I have the explanation of how that will look like here for the BSc ES program, as well as for the BEP programs. And now the most exciting piece, how to apply. So if you are ready to apply for any of these programs, you need to complete an online application. And after that, you need to submit the following documents. All applicants might submit all the official transcripts, because we will need to see those 60 credits, as well as you have the B average and you have the GPA that we're looking for. And we might request a detailed resume, a personal statement, or 2 letters of reference. Candidates that are coming through flexible admissions normally get asked to submit the additional documents. For detailed resume, we want to understand a bit more who you are and your career path. So this is the place you are going to tell us about your education, work experience, any certificates that you might have done that might be non-credit. And these resumes normally take more than 2 pages. So this is you are not applying for a job, so you can take as many pages as you need to tell us about your story. Personal statement, I was a Royal Roads student once, and it's my favorite document, because we want to understand your motivation, why you're applying to this program, how this program is going to help you to succeed or move forward in your career, what are your goals, and also what are you bringing to the program, what are your expertise, and what are you going to be teaching to others. And the last one, it will be 2 letters of reference. They can be 1 academic and 1 professional. And once again, I just want to confirm or let everybody know that for all applicants, we only ask for the official transcripts. And depending on you are coming through flexible, or if we want to understand a little bit better about your career path, we might ask you for other documents.
Just before you go on, Andrea, just a couple of sort of other points. Your personal statement is also a really great place to explain, for instance, if there's been gaps in your education because you went traveling, or if there was some kind of, if you were ill or had some kind of other thing that needs to be explained, that would explain, for instance, a poor semester on a transcript. That's a great place to deal with it. Also, if you have served in the armed forces, it's also a good idea to also submit your training record, because often some of those prerequisite experiences are hidden in your training record as well, that don't necessarily show on a transcript from your diploma.
Thank you, Nikki. Those are great points. And if you are not sure, if maybe we share a lot of information, Rhonda or any one of our enrollment advisors will be happy to connect with you and unpack a little bit how have you done in your, or what are you doing currently, and how you will be able to apply into this program. Key dates. So for our BSEP program, our next intake is January 10, and for the application deadline will be December 10. For our BSc program, BSES program, we have 2 intakes coming up. One is the blended and the other one is the on-campus. For the blended intake, our next one is April 19, 2022. And the application, did I make a mistake here? No, that is correct. Sorry, sometimes I forget we are in 2021 already. April 19, 2022, and the application deadline will be January 14 of the next year. And for the on-campus intake, if you are looking for that full 1 year on campus, it will be, our next start date will be September the 6th, and the deadline will be June 6th.
Something else to just mention at that point, Royal Roads does what we call rolling admission. So, submit your documents as soon as possible. And, we don't save them all and look at them all at one time and decide who's getting in. If you qualify, you'll be admitted to the program in the order in which you have applied. And if you're not sure, contact Rhonda or just go ahead and apply, and we'll let you know if you're short of courses, and we can give you a conditional admission.
Thank you, Nikki.
Yeah, and just to remind everyone that there are 3 intakes to the BEP a year. So don't feel if it's too short notice for the January intake. There's another intake just around the corner. Because of the flexible nature of the program, you don't have to wait for a specific course to start. You can start with whatever courses are up at that time. So it's and because of the rolling admission, then you have certainty that you're in or you're not in plenty of time.
Thank you. So financial aid, we have our financial aid and awards specialists that will be able to provide more support. And depending on the province that you are located, the program that you're applying, if they are blended, online, or on campus, there might be different options available for you. So if you have any questions, please visit our website or connect directly with our experts who will be able to assist you through the process. And application support, I know we have Rhonda here, and she has been sharing a lot of information with us in the chat box. Thank you so much, Rhonda. But that team is amazing, and they will be able to help you in many different ways. They will help you to understand what is the best program for you. Also, if you have the qualifications for this program, maybe if you're coming through from another college and we have a transfer agreement in place, so how they can support you. So Royal Roads will be happy to connect you in many ways to make sure that you are making the correct decision for you. Maybe if you would like to connect with faculty or alumni, Rhonda and her team will be able to make that possible as well. So
yeah, and sorry to interrupt. Yeah, so for the BEP program, there's also a little self-assessment tool on the Eco Canada website that you can look at, which will give you some indication of your eligibility. And I noticed also that there's I think Rhonda better answer the how far in advance question, but for the and the tuition question, the per credit tuition costs for Royal Roads courses are available on the BEP program information pages on the website. But yes, you're quite right. Because of the variety of courses, we can't sort of state how much the program as a whole will cost for you because there's so much variability. But you can get some indication from the website there.
Thank you. And I saw a question that was about when is the best time applying. So as Nikki mentioned, we have the rolling admission. So as soon as you apply and you complete and submit all the documents, we will be able to give you an answer. And if maybe there's any questions or if there's any information that is not clear for us, we will be able to have that conversation. So I encourage people to apply as soon as you can and start that process and start submitting your documents. And then you are able to plan ahead what is coming for you in the near future. With that said, I'm just curious to see if anyone has any other questions, or Chris and Nikki, if there is anything else that you would like to add.
I think that's it for me. Thanks everybody for coming today. I'm afraid I have to run away because I have a lab that's starting in 3 minutes downstairs. So thanks everybody for coming, and I will leave you with Chris and Andrea to take questions.
Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I echo the thanks for everybody for coming and being interested in our programs. If you haven't got questions you want to share in the chat here, then I very strongly urge you, as Andrea has, to contact our admissions advisors. They have almost all the answers, and if they don't have the answer, then they very quickly get in touch with us and get the answer for you. So please don't hesitate in contacting them if you do have more questions.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Rhonda, and thank you, Mark, for supporting us in the chat box. And thank you, everybody that joined us today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week and hope to see you soon at Royal Roads. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.